WagerTalk Today, live Monday, November the 25th. Thanksgiving week is here, one of the best weeks of the year to be a sports bettor. Tons of football and basketball galore. We're going to start breaking it down for you today on Monday and all week long, Monday through Wednesday and Friday. No Thursday show. Enjoy the holiday, but we are here the other days of the week. I am Steve Merrill, filling in for the Prez. He will be back tomorrow on Tuesday, so don't worry. It is not a Prez-free Thanksgiving week. Teddy covers alongside with me here on Monday. He'll be here tomorrow on Tuesday as well. And great show for Monday to start the week. We've got Adam Trigger at the top breaking down the Monday night football game, Ravens at Chargers. Also talking some college basketball. Adam's a college basketball expert. He'll also be on the college basketball show at 2:15 Eastern today on Monday. Skee Profit, speaking of basketball, he likes a little NBA action tonight. Also, we're going to look at a player prop for Monday Night Football. And speaking of props, Andrew McInnis is going to be here with another Monday Night Football player prop and also an NHL place. We've got college hoops, pro basketball, NHL, and then Monday Night Football from all three guests here on the show. Let's get right to it. Adam Trigger, with no delay, you'll be on a little bit here in the college basketball show, but welcome. We're going to talk a little NFL with you. Also, I hope your weekend went well, my friend.
Yeah, it did. I won every day of the weekend. I think 3 straight winning days. Had a 5% winner on the Titans yesterday. My only football play for Sunday. Had the Browns on Thursday, so a 2-0 football week. And yeah, it's gone good. College basketball kind of, you win a couple days, lose one, but 2-0 on my 5%ers in college hoops so far, and I've got my third one of the season tonight. So cannot complain, Steve. It was an okay weekend.
Better than okay, I think. If you won every day, you won your 5%.
I just like that he had a 3-day weekend,
good.
I like how he said, I won every day of the weekend. I'm thinking, 2 winning days, but he had 3. So Friday's a weekend for Adam Trigger.
Let's talk about tonight's Monday Night Football game, the Chargers and the Ravens. Looking at the WagerTalk free live odds screen right now. Baltimore, it's kind of a split line. There are 2.5s, there are 3s. An open 3, moved all the way down to 2.5. Now we're seeing the books, different books posting different numbers. Nonetheless, 2.5/3, the Ravens are favored. Total sitting at 51. How do you break it down? Monday Night Football.
Yeah, Teddy, I think the line is probably right where it should be. I do have some reasons to like the Chargers here. I think at 3, you can make a pretty good case for the Chargers being the right side. So I guess that's where my issue starts with the Ravens. I don't love them as a road favorite in this spot. General team health is something that's super important at this point in the year, and I feel like the Ravens are the less healthy team at this point. If you kind of look at, who missed practice this week and who's been banged up, it seems like the health on the Chargers side is a little bit better right now. The other thing I want to go is back to last year's matchup, because even though the Chargers lost that game, they did a great job on Lamar Jackson. The Ravens only scored 20 points in that game, and this is something I've talked about a couple weeks now. Actually, go back to really like the last 6 weeks. This Ravens defense is not very good. They're not as good as last year. They've been pretty easy to throw on there in the bottom 5 in the NFL. In defensive EPA, and I think this Justin Herbert can throw on this team. So if you go back to last year's game, Herbert was kind of in the midst of struggling. He had some season struggles going on. I believe he was fighting an injury. He didn't have a particularly good game. But if the Justin Herbert from last week that, torched the Bengals shows up, I think he's going to be able to move the ball on this Ravens secondary. Lad McConkey coming back has been big for them or getting healthy the past couple weeks. That's something I'll be kind of monitoring, I guess. I don't know. Again, I doubt I actually play this, but I know he was listed on the injury report with a shoulder injury. I think he's fine. I like this Chargers offense right now. The other thing I like about this matchup is Greg Roman is now, on the Chargers staff. He's someone that knows Lamar Jackson well, and I love this Chargers defense. I think they can contain Jackson, and I think it makes them maybe a worthwhile underdog at 3 here.
So I want to ask you, you said that you don't like Baltimore in the road favorites role. They've done okay in that role this year. Obviously, not last time out. They lost 1 to Pittsburgh. They lost 1 to Cleveland, divisional rivals. But you look at the rest of the season, they win by double digits at Tampa. They win at Cincinnati. They win at Dallas. It's not like Baltimore hasn't been able to win games and cover numbers as road chalk. is the road element to this. And one would think, like all games at SoFi Stadium, there'll be plenty of support for the visiting team, like we saw last night for the Philadelphia Eagles. Is that a big concern for you, or is that just a talking point type of thing?
No, that's a good point, Teddy. I don't think, for me, it's just the fact that you'd be catching potentially a field goal with the Chargers, who I think are a better team with the Ravens right now. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't know that the, road spot makes a huge difference. And we know that, like, Dan was out at at the Eagles game last night, and there's a ton of Eagles fans there. Like, the home support is just not great for the LA based teams. So, really for me, it comes back to, the fact that these two teams played last year. The Ravens won that game, but I felt like that Ravens team was better equipped to beat the Chargers than this Ravens team. And then I go back to Justin Herbert being, this version of Justin Herbert, I like much more than the one that played this game around this time of year last year. So, to me, this was a lean. I just wanted to kind of come on and give my thoughts about Monday Night Football, especially since I'll be on the College Hoop Show talking basketball. So I lean toward the Chargers, but there are reasons for me. And then the final reason, Teddy, I don't love the fact that I would be playing against the Ravens coming off a loss last week. So that was enough to keep me off. But if you forced a pick out of me for Monday Night Football, it would be the Chargers at 3.
You're muted.
It's something Teddy and I talked about last week on one of the other games, and both the side and total, not just the side, the total also on an incredibly key number of 51 right now, yet there are some 50 and a halves out there. I'd say 3 to 4% chance this game lands exactly 51 tonight, 8 to 9% chance the Ravens win by exactly 3, and there's both 2.5s and 3s out there. So can't stress the importance enough of shopping around and having multiple outs, because both the side and total are in very key numbers tonight. I pointed that out because the reason it came to mind is because I did a free play video on the over-under in this game. I talked about 51 being a key total, and the comments blew me away about the confusion that caused, why people thought that mattered. So, once again, a lot of new sports bettors out there. We're trying to educate them here on WagerTalk TV. Adam, college basketball tip-off show will be on at 2:15 Eastern in about 2 hours today live. Of course, you take questions on any games people want to ask about, including some of the under-the-radar games. And you've got a little bit of an under-the-radar game for us here on Monday. Let us know about it.
Yeah, so this is a client play for me. Had to bring one to WagerTalk today. So this is a 4% play for me, and it's a little bit earlier in the day. So I believe this is a 5:30 p.m. tip down in the Virgin Islands. I'm going to go back to the well with Longwood. I played them twice so far in this tournament. I won on Friday, a really nice win for Longwood, actually, outright winner over UAB. And then I lost with them yesterday against McNeese State. But a couple of things I noticed from yesterday's game. So, I just feel like Longwood was 6-0 going into that game. I felt like that was their dud. They let McNeese shoot 61.8% from the field, kind of got behind. It was a sloppy first half. The defensive intensity wasn't there, and then they just got out of their game, in my opinion. So, you kind of look at them getting blown out yesterday, and I feel like they were maybe just due, for a game like that. I also saw them play in person on Tuesday. They came up here to Binghamton, and so, like, Binghamton, New York, from Farmville, Virginia, then down to the Virgin Islands, they were probably going to have their dud at some point, and unfortunately, it was yesterday. That being said, I feel like that they kind of took the pedal off the gas in the second half, went through the motions. I feel like they'll be up for the Power 5 opponent here in Kansas State, whereas Kansas State played a tough game late last night with Liberty that they lost by 2. That game didn't get over till after 10 p.m. And so this is, in my opinion, an equally tough sort of turnaround motivation spot for Kansas State, who's now being asked to win this game by double digits. And that's where I'm okay with stepping back in with Longwood and playing against Kansas State, because I haven't been impressed at all with this Kansas State team yet this year. So, Steve, they let a bad Cleveland State team hang around, won by 13 as a 20-plus point favorite. They let everyone's favorite Mississippi Valley State, maybe the worst team in college basketball in the last, I don't know how many years. They're that bad. That was a 2-point game at halftime in Manhattan, Kansas, with Kansas State and Mississippi Valley State. That's concerning. They got destroyed by LSU at home. That's also concerning. And then on Friday, Kansas State had George Washington was down by like 20 at halftime. They came all the way back to cut it to 4, and Coleman Hawkins hit a 3 that if he doesn't hit that, I mean, George Washington's right in that game, and that's not a very good basketball team this year, in my opinion. I felt like Kansas State was outclassed yesterday by Liberty. I know that was a 2-point game, but if you watched it, I felt like Liberty was the better team. And it was like, in my opinion, obvious that they were going to come and take over that game and win that game, which they did. Coleman Hawkins just hasn't been as dominant, like averaging like 7 points a game. Doug McDaniel from Michigan hasn't been as dynamic. Jerome Tang might figure this thing out at some point, but this is not a team I want to lay 10.5 on a neutral in the final day of a tropical island MTE. So I'm going to trust that Longwood just didn't have their best yesterday. I make this number more like Kansas State -6. I'm back on the Lancers today. I think this is going to be a great game.
So we talk about November college basketball, and one of the things that I respect early in the season, I don't like to go against the money. The money's pretty strong. The sharp money, when you talk about early season college hoops, they tend to have a pretty good read on what's going on, oftentimes better than the odds makers. In this game, very clear. We've seen the money come for K-State. What are the bettors seeing? What are the wise guys seeing that you disagree with?
Okay, so Teddy, here's my problem with the money early in the season. It's the money and then the steam that follows it, right? Like, I'm sure someone out there likes Kansas State. I'm sure someone out there wants to make the case that Longwood started 6-0 and they were probably due for some regression. Like I said, I feel like some of that regression happened yesterday against McNeese State. And obviously you've got the angle. Kansas State loses to Liberty last night. Are they going to lose to two mid-majors from Virginia in back-to-back days? I don't know. Maybe not. But all I know is I trust my numbers, and I trust what I see when I watch these teams play. I got a chance to sit right next to the Longwood bench on Tuesday night. Griff Aldrich is a great coach. He also has the full attention of his players. That's a well-run team. It's been a well-run program since he's gotten there in 2018. I believe 2 NCAA tournament appearances. I believe they went last year. I think they lost to Tennessee. The point is, like, this is a team. And the other thing, I went down to the Bahamas last year and saw the free-for-all that is these like MTEs, players out till all hours. Like, I feel like this is more of a business trip for Longwood, and they were a little bit outclassed yesterday. I wouldn't be surprised if the K-State players even had a little fun last night. Like, it is team building at the end of the day, especially for some of these power conference teams. This game is not going to come back to bite Kansas State in March, right? Like, these big Power 5 schools do not get penalized for these bad losses in November and December like they used to 10, 15 years ago. You're talking about giving me 10.5 points. The other thing about Longwood, they don't rely on the three. They're not like live or die from 3-point range. They've got guys that can get into the paint, score. They really are a tenacious team. And I think after getting beat up by McNeese State, they're going to come with an effort today. So give me the 10.5 all day. Won't be surprised if this one's close with a couple minutes to go.
It's a Longwood program that in 1980 made the Division III Final Four, transitioned to Division II, and then Division I like 04 to 07 full-time. And now they've made the tournament 2 of the last 3 years, as you mentioned, 22 and 24. So they are trending in the right direction. Adam Trigger playing against his big sister's alma mater, Kansas State. Kelly Stewart moving the line in that game.
Birthday. That's a little messed up on her birthday, but
my goodness, what a present!
They don't need to listen.
Against her
she'll
team
be
on her
happy with
birthday.
it. She'll be happy with a win. They just let them win by 7. They don't need to win by 11 or more.
Good point. He's
Get
playing
out
the
of
point
there.
spread plus 10.5, not the money line, so everybody can win. It's a win-win situation on Monday on Kelly's birthday. Adam, what you got going on at WagerTalk.com? You'll be back, of course, in the college basketball show in 2 hours, but let everybody know what you got going on the website.
Yeah, so 5% college basketball tonight. 2-0 in those 5%ers so far this season. 3-0 on my 5% plays so far in the month of November. Had one yesterday in the NFL with the Titans, +8, an outright winner there. So there's only one college basketball play I like more than Longwood tonight. It is the 5% play. And like Steve said, we're going to be answering questions on the College Hoop Show. So ask away. There's like 50 games and they're all day. This feels like it's feast week, Steve. The start of feast week, one of the best weeks of the year. So great day to come tune into the College Hoop Show and ask some questions because there's a lot of games.
Yeah, college basketball tip-off show, 2:15 Eastern. NBA tip-off show live at 3:30 Eastern today on Monday. And we take live questions on both. You can, of course, watch the replay 24/7. But when you're watching live on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube Shorts, YouTube TV here, you can ask any game live in the chat, and we do get to them for you here on the channel. All right, we've got Skee Profit coming up with some NBA talk, another NFL player prop, also Andrew McInnis talking NHL and a Monday night prop. So a lot coming up still. But in the meantime, it's Monday. It's Teddy Covers, which means opening line report is less than an hour away. But before then, we got to do a recap of last weekend with BB. What you got, Teddy?
Sure. Monday morning here in Las Vegas, we always do the 6 Bs, bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. A little recap of what just happened. And it seems like all the worst beats this week were on unders. Thursday night, NC State, Georgia Tech. The total's what? 51.5, 52. 13-7 into the fourth quarter. 16-14 with less than 6 minutes to play. Again, you got 51.5. There's 6 minutes left. You can give up 3 touchdowns and still cash. Well, what do you have? Interception, return down to the 3, touchdown. NC State, bam, 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 into the end zone, touchdown. And then, of course, the final 2 minutes, both teams march up and down the field, 30-29 final. Even the teaser's no good on that one. Tough if you had the under, NC State, Georgia Tech. The Ohio State total might have been worse because no one still understands what Ryan Day was thinking in that. 52 and a half. It's 31-7. The Hoosiers get the ball. They get a 15-play, 7-minute drive into the end zone, then the 2-point conversion, and now the onside kick. It's 31-15. Under's still fine. Ohio State recovers. They're going to take a knee. No. Instead, Travion Henderson's going to break free. And he's smart enough to slide down at the 1-yard line so you can burn the clock. But Ryan Day wants the touchdown. He calls timeout. He wants it so bad. First down, they get stuffed. Do they take a knee? No. Second down, punch it in with 35 seconds left. 38-15 final, cashes the over. If you had under there, I don't know what to say. But we can talk Pat's Dolphins under 45.5. The last touchdown came on a 63-yard fumble return touchdown with the Dolphins' backup quarterback getting some snaps. And, of course, the 2-point conversion was good. 34-15 final. That was certainly a tough beat if you had the under in that game. But, I mean, what do you say about Dallas, Washington yesterday? Under 44.5. It's 10-9 into the fourth quarter. Dallas kicks a field goal. Now it's 13-9 with less than 6 to play. You've got under 44.5 in your pocket. It's 13-9 with less than 6 minutes left. Washington fumbles deep in their own territory. Dallas goes up 20-19. Washington marches down the field. They get the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. Now it's 20-17. Dallas fumbles the kickoff. Then Turpin picks it up and he's gone. What a great touchdown. I mean, that was really one of those plays you're like, wow, kick return touchdown. But you still have a half point to spare. Well, they kick a 51-yard field goal. Then they have the blown coverage inside 20 seconds left to allow the 86-yard touchdown pass to McLaurin. Then the missed extra point, and then Dallas takes the onside kick into the end zone as well. 34-26 final from a game that was 13-9 with less than 6 to play. That flew over. Even if you had it on a 13-point teaser, that game flew over the total. That was a beat and a half. When it comes to bad bets, what did we see? All Ole Miss money against Florida. -9, 9.5 up to -13. The Gators won that game outright. They bet Army against Notre Dame, +16 down to +14. My clients and I cashed a 5% big ticket on Notre Dame, 49-14 blowout. The Army money was bad. Alabama got bet up to -14 at Oklahoma. Sooners 24-3. They went out right by 3 touchdowns. Heck of a defensive game plan from Brent Venables and company. Let's see. Nobody bet Dallas. The Commanders bet up to -10.5, -11. They lost outright in what has to be the single drunkest fourth quarter of the year in the NFL. We just talked about it. Arizona, 4 straight wins and then a bye week. The momentum was snapped, but the bettors didn't notice. The bettors didn't notice before kickoff. Arizona +1 to -1.5. They didn't reach the end zone. 16-6 loss at Seattle, Arizona. Bad bet. When it comes to bad for the books, Brady Cook's in. That means lots of Missouri money at Mississippi State. Tigers won that game by 19. Arizona State was the wise guy special against BYU. Bet up to -3, even 3.5. They hung on for the 5-point win. Packers-Niner was a disaster for the books yesterday. Green Bay opened -1.5. They closed -6.5. They won the game by 28. Nobody bet the Giants. That was bad for the books. The Bucks won 30-7. That game was -3 to -6. Nobody bet the Raiders. The Broncos won by double digits. That was a bad game for the books. And the Lions are really a problem for the sports books. They're getting buried with public Lions money every week. And the Lions keep covering. Once again, yesterday, Detroit's win and cover. A bad result for the house. So there you have it, Steve. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Back to you, my friend.
Yeah, and actually, you covered some of the games I did solo videos on. I had Notre Dame as well in a solo video. I put it out at 14.5, and like a day later, it was 14. I just did not understand that move either, Teddy. It was as high as 17 at some books earlier in the week, and my premise, as I'm sure yours was, once Army got behind, they can't throw the ball, and that was their first real test of the season as well. And Notre Dame had faced Navy a few weeks earlier, so sometimes the sharp money I do not agree with, as you don't either, and that one puzzled me also with that line move. Speaking of the Lions. Talked about them a lot, obviously, in my Fade the Public video, and they're single-handedly one of the reasons why the public is doing so well this season, because they continue to cover, and the public is backing them every single week. We've got three Thursday games, Chicago, Detroit. It's only 10.5 right now, but 10 obviously a very key number, and I will be doing a solo video for all of the Thursday games. And you've got a big game breakdown coming up in just a moment on that game. And I will point out that the Lions, I believe, are now 46-18 with a push under Dan Campbell the last 3.5 years. Just incredible, 46-18. So like you said, can they set the line high enough? So I'm looking forward to your take on that in just a moment. But first, let's talk more Monday Night Football with Skee Profit, Skee Profit, NBA expert. So don't worry, we're going to get to an NBA play as well here in a moment. But Skee, what are you looking at here in this Monday Night Football game? Give us a prop we can use.
Yeah, I'll look at the quarterback position. And the last time I came on here, I think I gave a similar prop. So we'll go Justin Herbert over 34.5 pass attempts. And once again, we're attacking that Baltimore defense. Baltimore has allowed 35 plus pass attempts in 6 of their 7 games. Baltimore, they have been the worst pass defense for most of the year. If they are not the worst, they're still bottom 5 right now. And they have the number 1 run defense. So what do you have to do to beat Baltimore? You have to pass the ball. For the Chargers before the bye, they averaged 23.3 pass attempts per game. After the bye, that number skyrocketed up to 31. And I know 31 is not, 35 that we need tonight, but you can compare it to a guy like Russell Wilson, who didn't have a game with more than 29 attempts all season. He plays the Baltimore Ravens. He throws it 36 times. So the key to success for the Chargers in this game is through the air, in my mind. And I'll take the pass attempts once again.
Well, good morning, Skee. How are you today, my friend? Always a pleasure to talk with you first thing on a Monday morning. And you were dead right last time when you talked about the pass props over. But in my mind, does this correlate with side? If the Chargers are winning the game, they ain't going to be throwing the football. If the Chargers are losing the game, I would imagine they'll be throwing the football a fair bit. So isn't a bet on Herbert over essentially a bet on the Ravens as well? Or do you not see that correlation? You not agree?
I can understand. Once again, I'll go back to that last game, the Steelers versus the Ravens, right? The Steelers were winning that game, and Russell Wilson still kept throwing the ball just because you're not going to have success. If you get a lead versus Ravens team and you just start running the ball, the Ravens will come back. The Chargers have been a team that, get out to good starts and let teams come back. So it obviously could be something that happens. But with the new coach, I think he's smarter than that. I think they'll continue to take advantage of this Baltimore team. If you ask me who wins the game, I'll let everybody else decide. I have no interest. As long as I see passes, I'll be a happy camper.
He'll be pass happy with the over tonight. Pass with Herbert at quarterback. That's a home game, of course, for the Chargers at 8:15 Eastern against the Ravens. And all right, let's talk a little NBA, Skee. And believe you're going to do the NBA show today as well, if I'm not mistaken, at 3:30 Eastern. So check that out with Rob Vino and Joe Ranieri. Once again, you can ask any games you'd like. They answer your questions. If you have any player prop questions as well, throw them in there. They answer them live at 3:30 Eastern today on Monday in the NBA show. And you're going to break down a game for us here this afternoon on the daytime WagerTalk Today, which goes later tonight, of course, and that's the New Orleans Pelicans at Indiana Pacers, 7:10 Eastern tip-off. Currently, we're seeing this line go a little bit higher. Indiana opened as low as -5, up to 7 now. Pelicans or Pacers, do you think this is a little bit too much of a move?
I think it is. I mean, this Pacers team, yes. I mean, they finally got, they got a win versus Washington, but they've looked really bad. I mean, they did beat Miami in recent games too, but they've looked really bad in general. They have not looked like the Pacers team from last year. And as much as I praised, Hallie, I think it was last year or the year before, made a lot of money with him. He's looked terrible. So I think it's going to start with him. Until he starts to look better, the Pacers will continue to look mediocre. This is also a team that is not known for defense. You look at their games, and once again, we know the Wizards are bottom feeders. They allowed 103 to them. But the 3 prior games, 129 plus to each of those teams. How can we lay 7 points and expect them to win by multiple possessions if they cannot get stops. Now, when I look on the other side, I can understand why people might run to the window and want to fade New Orleans. They haven't been good all year, mostly because they've been unhealthy. But they're starting to get guys back in the lineup now. Two guys, C.J. McCollum and Trey Murphy, I think one played 4 games this year, the other played 5. They're both expected to be out there starting tonight. And they also have Ingram out there tonight too. So I think the Pelicans roster right now is more than capable of scoring on this Indiana team. And I think they'll look a lot better than what we've seen in recent weeks. I think the Pelicans will start to trend upwards as far as against the spread. So I just think it's too many points for a team that doesn't play defense in the Pacers. Pelicans +7 will be my recommendation.
So, I mean, New Orleans has been hanging around in their home games. But you look at them on the highway, and boy, you want to talk about a track record of blowout losses. That's all they have. They lose by 28 at Cleveland. They lose by 41 at Dallas. They lose by 18 at OKC. They lose by 27 at Orlando. They lose by 15 at Golden State, by 18 at Golden State, and by 22 at Portland. Yeah, that's their last, 7 or 8 road games. And not a one of them have they been competitive in. Does that worry you at all?
I understand, but it doesn't worry me because, I also understand why they haven't been competitive. And it goes back to, in my mind, it's just being unhealthy. Like, yes, you can look at just home road splits, but a lot of these games, they just haven't had talent out there to compete with teams. The Pacers, I'll go back to them on the flip side. Just look at them laying points so far this season. I believe they're 3-7 ATS. So it doesn't worry me as much in this spot. I trust the Pelicans with my money tonight.
Skee Profit talking some NBA action. He'll be back at 3:30 Eastern live here on WagerTalk TV with Rob Vino. They'll be breaking down all the different NBA games and taking your questions live as well. 3:30 Eastern NBA tip-off today on Monday. And Skee, in the meantime, let everybody know what you got going on at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, I know we have a Thanksgiving deal that's going to go live, right? 7 days for $69. I think that's the best way to get involved. I'll shout out that going back to 2021, I'm up a little bit over 200 units in the association, cashing 64% of my last 200 NBA 3% or higher. In college basketball to start the season, I'm 8-2. In college football, I'm 41-30 on the season. And I had a slow start to my NBA, but I've now won 6 in a row. So I think that's the best way to get involved if you would like to check out my work.
Skee Profit, WagerTalk.com. And yeah, that's a little tease for the special, which is going to go live later tonight. Right around midnight, you can get the 7-day Thanksgiving special. But don't forget, the rest of the football season for $3.99, there's only a day left in that special offer. No promo code needed. And you can use it for multiple cappers. You can get myself, Steve Merrill, Teddy Covers, anybody else you'd like, and get the rest of their football seasons, college and pro combined, for just $3.99. And that special offer expires tomorrow on Tuesday. So if you want to lock up the Thanksgiving football games and want more of a long-term investment approach, that $3.99 special gets it done and gets you everything college and pro through the Super Bowl in February. Speaking of one of those NFL games on Thursday, Thanksgiving, you're not going to wait long to see what maybe is the best team in the NFL at 12:30 Eastern Thursday, Teddy. Give us a little big game breakdown for Bears-Lions.
Yeah, exactly. 9:30 here on the left coast, 12:30 on the east coast. Early start on Turkey Day, the Bears and the Lions. Right now, look at the WagerTalk free live odds screen. Detroit minus 10.5, pretty much across the board. Total sitting 48.5 for this one. It's really hard to step in front of the Lions, all right? And it should be hard to step in front of the Lions. Right now, power rating-wise, they're the best team in the NFL, okay? Period. No debate, all right? Power rating, Detroit is ahead of Baltimore or Buffalo or Kansas City or anybody, all right? We've seen the Lions consistently put the hammer down on teams when they've been leading, when they've had good first halves. We're not seeing the second half comebacks against Detroit. The defense is there. The offense is there. The mentality is there. And that's why they are the biggest public team in the NFL, why the books are getting buried with Detroit money every week. And while Detroit isn't a team I want to step in front of, they are good enough. They are that good. That being said, the last 10 meetings between these two teams, Detroit has exactly one win by double digits. That came, I think it was a week 18 versus a dead Bears team. So it's not like this series history has a whole lot of blowouts in favor of Detroit. And Detroit's been good the last couple of years. Chicago hasn't. The Bears are 4-7 straight up this season. They're on a 5-game losing streak. But only 2 losses by a touchdown or more. And both of them came when the offensive line was in shambles. The game at Arizona, the game against New England. They had no healthy offensive linemen, and it showed. But those are the only 2 losses all year they've had by a touchdown or more. Here, we're talking about catching double digits. So I ain't stepping in front of the Lions, and I ain't stepping in front of the Bears. So what do we do in this game? We're going to talk about the total. First, I want to let you know what's going on. Look, you can get $50 off any 30-day pass. That includes all access, NFL 30-day pass, college football 30-day pass, NBA 30-day pass, a football combo 30-day pass. Take $50 off. Just use promo code TEDDY30 at checkout. Again, $50 off any 30-day pass. And if you want to get on board for a full year, all access, 1 year, every play, every day. It's just $99 a month. $11.88 for the full year. Just use TC365 at checkout. If you don't want to take advantage of either of those, well, starting tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, you can use the 7-day pass from me, Steve, any of the WagerTalk experts. Just $69 normally, $99. You'll take $30 off. No promo code needed for that. So 3 great specials. Teddy 30, a 30-day all access. TC 365, a full year, or no promo code needed for the 7-day all access after 5 o'clock tonight. Look, the Lions offense is pretty elite. All right. 26-11 first downs this past week, 38-10 the previous week. They are moving the football week in, week out. I'm not going to bet against Detroit's offense. Caleb Williams showed us something yesterday. First of all, he threw the ball 47 times, which means Chicago is not afraid to chuck the football around, which is what you want when you're playing overs. Second, their defense couldn't stop anything. They gave up 200-yard receivers and a 100-yard back and allowed 7 yards per play. The Vikings had 7 trips to the red zone against Chicago's defense. Third, since the Bears have replaced Shane Waldron with Thomas Brown at offense coordinator, Caleb Williams had looked good. He had a 103.1 passer rating. And some of the throws that he made yesterday were, wow, truly unbelievable throws. The kid has a howitzer arm. I think we'll see points on Thanksgiving Day. I like the over between the Lions and the Bears. And you can find 48s right now, the prevailing number 48.5. But I look for both teams to put the biscuit in the basket when it comes to the end zone. Over the total in early start action on Turkey Day. Steve?
Yeah, Thomas Brown, of course, the former coordinator at Carolina, which obviously doesn't bode too well for him, but he comes in as a running back. We thought they maybe run the ball more, pound and ground. But like you said, Caleb Williams has actually done quite well through the air the last 2 weeks with him at the helm. Put it in perspective, a 95 and 103 rating. He had a 63, 69, and 59 the 3 games before that. So a pretty big change. We'll see if it continues. Short week, obviously, for both teams, 3 days rest travel. And it's earlier than a Thursday night game because, as Teddy said, 12:30 Eastern kickoff in Detroit on Thursday. Hey, don't forget, Teddy does solo free play videos. I do a ton of them as well. Click the bell when you subscribe here to WagerTalk TV. And this might be the most important week to do that because we're going to be getting videos up at different times this week due to the holiday. And you will get an instant alert when these weeknight games are posted for free. Teddy just gave you a big game breakdown on this one. I'm going to have a solo video as well on this. In fact, on all 3. Teddy, I'm putting my 9-1 free play Thursday night NFL record on the line like an idiot and doing all 3 games this week. We'll see what happens, but I'm a man of the people. So if you're appreciating it, thumbs up, like, and comment on these videos as well because we read the comments and we reply back on WagerTalk TV. All right, speaking of a man of the people, since Prez will be back tomorrow on Tuesday in the Thanksgiving week, Canadian Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, it's all a mix, so we got to have a Canadian on. Let's bring Andrew McInnis in because we got to talk some hockey as well. But Andrew, before we do talk some hockey with you, continue the Monday Night Football theme, give us another player prop here, something you're looking at in this Chargers-Ravens game on Monday.
Yeah, good to see you guys. And I love that, Steve. American Thanksgiving, Canadian Thanksgiving. I love the fact that we're allowed to have 2 different ones because apparently whenever I talk about it in October, well, you can't have Thanksgiving in October. Well, why can't we? We're allowed to, aren't we? Have 2 different types of Thanksgivings. I don't know. But look, I like it because I get 2 Thanksgivings. I get NFL, and I look forward to watching that. It's just another day of the week for me. But Skee talked about it, and I love tuning in to listening to the guys that talk before me. Skee said, what do people try and do to beat this Ravens team? They throw the ball. I'm looking at Palmer over on his receiving yards here. He's hit this number over in 6 of his last 7 games. And you look at kind of the target numbers for him, he's gotten at least 4 targets in 5 of his last 6 games. And for me, when I look at Joshua Palmer, you look at some of the guys he's, stacked up next to, right? With McConkey, with Quentin Johnston, you think that maybe there might be too much of a workload, too many mouths to feed. But I think because of that factor, we're getting a really good number here. Now, I've seen 34.5, I've seen 36.5, 37.5 here. But the fact is, this Ravens team is number 30 against wide receivers in the league. They're overall bottom of the pack in all receiving statistics. But this, to me, is going to be a game I'd look towards under on rushing props for the Chargers and over on some of these low-hanging fruit receivers, because I think this is going to be a really good spot for Palmer tonight. Lately in the NFL, guys, I've been avoiding playing the guys with the highest receiving number to the over. Because a lot of times teams like this, primetime game here for the Chargers, are going to spread the offense out. So with a guy with a number at 36.5, it's a lot more intriguing to me. And again, like I mentioned, 4 of his last 5 games, he's had at least 4 targets. To me, if he gets 4 targets tonight, that will be enough, Teddy, to get us over this number here with Palmer.
So one thing I haven't done on today's show is hype enough. I got a 5% big ticket on this game tonight. So you can get that right now. WT.buzz/TC. And I want to ask you this, all right? And specifically, I wanted to hype because I wanted to hype there because of this question, all right? Baltimore defense, when we look at the season-long numbers, they aren't good. They had the bad game on Thursday night against Cincinnati, and they kind of went back to the drawing board. And with 10 days to prepare, they had a much better defensive game plan against Pittsburgh last time out. They didn't lose that game because of the defense. They lost that game because they couldn't, for lots of reasons, but Justin Tucker, et cetera, et cetera. But they moved the football. And defensively, it's as good as we've seen Baltimore play. 3 weeks ago, they had Denver. They shut them down as well. How confident are you that the season-long stats for the Ravens are telling the truth right now? Is this defense perhaps better than their stats would indicate?
Well, Teddy, I also have a 5% play tonight, and I'm 7-1 in the NHL, and I'm really looking forward to that play tonight so people can get that over at WagerTalk. I had to do it. But look, it's a really good question. And I really like the way you presented that because I've been looking at a lot of that across all sports lately because people look at numbers as a whole, right, on a full season level and not just this past week, this past month, over the past few weeks. And for the exact reason that you just mentioned is why I'm not looking at Lab McConkey or looking at Johnston or looking at some of these other guys. I'm looking at kind of a second or third option, if you will. And I think because of that, there's going to be softer coverage towards him. I don't think the receivers are going to just continue to go crazy against the Ravens. And as you mentioned, they haven't been as much lately. But my bet isn't solely based on fading the defense of the Ravens. It's also a bet on Palmer. Right. And sometimes, in the prop betting world, you are simply making a bet against the team's defense. For me tonight, this is not the case. I'm going ahead and betting on Palmer, but I'm also expecting, the Ravens defense to still show us what they've been showing us on a large scale. But I also think there's going to be a lot more coverage towards the other receivers, which will leave him wide open. And just to go back to that, I do have a promo code that I just got before the show, guys. I'm looking forward to this. The promo code is Slapshot15. Slapshot15. And I have a promo code up for $15 off my 5% play. 7-1 this year already with 5% NHL plays. I had 2 5% plays in the NHL in the preseason. I've had a handful already in the regular season. And I'll be straight with you guys. It's been a so-so NHL year. But if there's one play, if there's one percentage you want to be knocking out of the park, it's the 5%ers. Not forcing them, just betting them when I see them. And this play really sticks out to me tonight in the NHL. Use that promo code, guys, Slapshot15. Take $15 off tonight's play.
And if you look really closely at my background, I don't know if you can see it, but I've got a Slapshot figurine from one of the greatest underrated movies ever. It's right to the side of the basketball there in the middle below the Vegas sign. That is a Hanson brother right there above the Redskin hat. So slap shot. I mean, you lost me once you said slap shot. I didn't hear another word you say. I don't think we've broken down the free play yet. So let's talk a hockey game here on the show. Now, Andrew's got a big play going tonight. Promo code, no reason to miss it. So give him a little taste on how you handicap hockey. Let's talk about this Blues-Rangers game tonight on Monday.
Steve, I want to give a shout out to Dave Koken because I miss him and I miss talking hockey with him. And one thing that he would always knock out of the park was the handicapping angle of how well teams would play after they fired their coach. And I remember Dave would ride these streaks and just tell me, Andrew, keep betting it. Keep betting it. It's going to work. And this team's going to turn things around. The St. Louis Blues fired their coach over the weekend and they replaced him with Jim Montgomery, who was only out of a job for 5 days. The Boston Bruins fired him just a week and a half ago or a week ago. The St. Louis Blues are a much better team than what they've been showing. And they lost 3 of their last 4 games. They've kind of been getting some tough performances from their goaltending, but they're due to turn things around. And this is a New York Rangers team that personally I think has overachieved to start the season off. I think they're old. I think they're a bit slow, and I don't trust their defensive core. And not often will you hear me take a +1.5, guys, in baseball or NHL. I don't like turning a plus price on a dog into a minus. It's just not something I will do. But one thing you see when a coach gets fired, and we saw with the Boston Bruins in their first 2 games after they fired their coach, is defensive pressure, right? If a team is going, let's say they give 80% every regular season game, they're giving 95, 96, 97% for the next few games after they fire their head coach. This is a really good spot. New York's been on the road for a couple games. They get back. They're at home. St. Louis Blues, fresh off firing their coach. Jim Montgomery takes over. The +1.5 is a really good angle. I'm willing to make an exception to bet a +1.5 because I think this is going to be a low-scoring defensive game, and the +1.5 will really help us out in this contest.
So you're throwing away the plus price to lay a price, and you're not playing the under because everything you said this game's an under. I don't understand.
Well, Teddy, my show best bet on puck time an hour ago was the under in this game.
Okay.
And I've been told not to give out the same play on 2 shows. So I wanted to give out this angle as well. It's funny because I've heard you ask guests before about the +1.5 stuff, and I'm not usually a fan of it, but I think that, of course, the +1.5 probably correlates with the under as you kind of, I think we're leaning to there. And I think that, the coaching angle off getting fired, not every team is going to win after they get fired, right? Especially when you have a tough opponent. Like when Boston fired their coach last week, they had Utah as their next game. It's way easier when you have a team below 500 as your next game, not like a team like the Rangers. But I think defensive play is going to be really important, which is why I'm not feeling bold enough to take the money line, but I'm confident enough to take that +1.5.
And the old adage is that you can't fire the entire roster mid-season, so you have to fire the coach. And that's why they do it in football, baseball, basketball. And, of course, the daily sports, hockey, NBA, MLB is when we really look to use that angle because, like you said, you can get some monster runs going in the short term. And we'll see if the Blues apply. And Andrew is looking at them tonight as the dog. Andrew, once again, what's that promo code for the strong play?
Slapshot15. Slapshot15 takes $15 off the best bet tonight. Guys, a lot of times I've been doing these 7-day, 30-day, full season NHL deals. Today I wanted to just give out promo code for this one play alone. I really, really, really do like this play. 7-1 on the year, NHL 5% plays. Promo code Slapshot15. Best of luck, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Andrew. Looking to make it 8-1. And once again, you get an instant $15 discount with Slapshot15. Andrew McInnis, WagerTalk.com. And Teddy, that's going to do it. You'll be back here in 15 minutes with your opening line report for the NFL. Some big games, including those Thursday games on deck. Prez will be back tomorrow on Tuesday, and Prez will actually be here the rest of the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday doing the show. Don't forget college basketball, 2:15 Eastern, NBA tip-off, 3:30 Eastern. Spoiler alert, I'm going to host for Joe Ranieri. Right after I said Joe would be here, he told me I'd be hosting for him. So I'll be back 3:30 Eastern doing the NBA show with Skee and Rob Vino. I have a Monday Night Football best bet going tonight right now. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com. Check that out. And don't forget daily free plays from all of us cappers at WagerTalk.com on our pages as well. It's a great way to learn and earn as you build that bankroll. Some free content. Subscribe, click the bell for instant alerts. Tons of free play videos. I'll be doing all 3 NFL Thanksgiving games, also a lot of these weeknight college football games as well. So click that bell for an instant alert when you subscribe. If you like the show today, thumbs up, like, and comment below on the replay. We read the comments. We reply back. Double thumbs up if you can. Hey, you can do that actually, Teddy. YouTube Shorts and YouTube TV. Go thumbs up both of them. Take us home.
Sure, that's going to wrap it for the Monday edition. Like Steve said, opening line report coming at the top of the hour. I'm running pretty good in the NFL to the tune of 67% over the last 9 weeks. I'm 6-1 with my last 7 5% plays, 45 and 25 with my NFL 5% since, I forget, 2000 and something. I don't put out that many of them, but we're winning in the NFL. We're winning with the 5%, and we do have 5% tonight for Monday Night Football. So enjoy the game. Best of luck. We'll talk to you again tomorrow with another edition of WagerTalk Today. Cheers.